To give you guys a really quick and dirty explanation of Western musical history, that was a Baroque piece. And what that means is basically the church took over music for like 1,000 years, about that, or a little more, and like ruthlessly stomped out things for a while and made all these rules about how you could write music, and most of it was to do with singing. And so a lot of Baroque music is basically like the peak of how to weave people singing together. And so it's got a very like puzzly feel to it. Concurrently with that, there was always secular music going on. It was usually a little bit, I mean, considered like a lower brow or whatever, but like troubadours or whatever, like people wandering around like as essentially carnies or musicians, kind of carried on this more sort of typical, like, these are the things that I'm concerned about in my day-to-day life things. And that eventually came out and won out, basically. And so the Baroque stuff continued to get incorporated, but now almost in the context of the theater. And so like the opera was very influential, and you hear that in a lot of like the classical stuff that came after. So the guy I'm about to play, Beethoven, is sort of thought to sit at the point at which classical music, which is again this sort of coming out of the opera, sort of fun, often lighthearted, a little more like harmony over here and then melody over here or whatever, into the Romantic era, which is more about sort of genius and all sorts of other things. But basically, it breaks out of both of those modes without losing either. And most importantly, there's a word called subito, which means suddenly, and it's particularly often suddenly loud. So, let's see if we can pull out when it's subito. hope you guys can enjoy.
Yeah.